Hello, everybody. I'm here today with Paula Potts. We're celebrating her 1 year anniversary of being on the LifeWave program. She's going to share her results, basically a timeline of what happened when, which patches helped her for what health goal. And she's got lots of good news to report. So I'm just going to turn it over to Paula and let her share her story.
Thank you, Kimberly. I'm so delighted to be here with you today to talk about the great news from my 1 year anniversary on LifeWave patches. Right? And I just need to start by saying that when I met you last year, matter of fact, end of February, right around this time in March, I was on a new regimen. I had had a major setback to the fibromyalgia and the medical PTSD. I had a new holistic doctor, and I was open to receive some new medical technology. And then you came into my life. So since then, it's really been a dynamic journey, and many, many things have happened. So let me kind of get right to it. I started with X39, right? The master patch, if you will. And right away, I could feel it moving through my body and going to the places where I had the worst pain. At the time, the pain level was about a 7-8.
Wow.
Yeah, it really reared its ugly head. And my anxiety level and my tension level was hypervigilant.
Mm.
It's like really on edge, a lot of the time. So I started with X39 and I noticed the pain level started to subside. And I said, okay, Kimberly, let me see what I can add. So then I added Eon because of the anti-inflammatory property of Eon. Then I noticed even less that the pain began to lessen. But what really happened that was so profound was in August, I started doing a dancing project with my daughter, Dancing with the Senior Stars, where 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, I was actually being a breath coach and a dance coach, right? Which I hadn't done in years and years and years, even though I've been a dancer my entire life. I used X39 and X49 while
Right.
I was doing the dancing, right? For those 7 weeks, I had very little muscle fatigue. I had enough energy. In the beginning, I would be a little tired and have to take a nap. As the weeks went on, I didn't need that nap because I had the energy to perform without pain, actually, and without fatigue, without an extreme level of fatigue. So I was very excited about that. I also added carnosine because I thought, well, there's a neurological component to the carnosine, so maybe I should just keep adding some things to mitigate this long-term experience of dancing every day, right? And working with seniors every day, which was a delightful experience. And so then I had a little issue with my psoas muscle shortly after that, right? In my left hip. Ice wave. I said, well, let me try ice wave. It was kind of an acute, isolated pain rather than the systemic pain of fibromyalgia.
Mm-hmm.
Got the LifeWave patches. And the thing about to me with LifeWave is I had to play with it a little bit. I had to try it in different locations. Then
Mm-hmm.
I hit the jackpot. So for 3 days, I put the ice wave in the area, the muscle that was painful.
Mm-hmm.
And the pain gradually got less and less and less. And then I wasn't having that pain and I didn't need to use the ice wave. But I do take it out occasionally
Mm-hmm.
and I have an acute situation that flares up. It just doesn't happen very often anymore because I have what I call a new normal or better normal
Oh,
from having been on the ice wave patches all this time. So by October, my 7th month, I'm 75, right? So you're supposed to have the number of months as there are decades, right? In your life. I began to notice that the effects seemed to be integrated, that they had become a part of who I was on a daily basis. And
fascinating.
I could feel those effects. I'm like, oh, I'm beginning to feel like this is really integrating into my system. And I would wake up in the morning ready to get up, which almost never happens because I'm a night person, as they call us. Mornings are a little challenging for me to get up, and I wake up in pain typically in the morning.
Mm.
I no longer wake up in pain in the morning.
And
So
at your age, that is saying
exactly.
something.
I mean, that's, and, as a fibromyalgia sufferer, who's very active. So one of the reasons I have flare-ups is because I'm so active.
Mhm.
Sometimes I overdo and then things flare up. But what I also noticed when I was using X39 and Eon together, that if I had a flare up, my recovery rate was so much better.
Mm.
You know, it was cut at least in half. I could put those two patches on and rest for a while, do some of the other things that I do. And
Right.
then, a couple of hours later, the pain would be gone, as opposed to a couple of days later
Fantastic.
was the old pattern. It would take a couple
Fantastic.
of days. This
Because
would
somebody with as much energy and passion for life as you don't like those downtime days. They're
no,
frustrating, I
no,
know.
very active, as you know, right? Very active person. So then, in December, I added Alavita. And I hope I'm saying that right.
Mhm.
And then I began to notice my skin starting to get clearer because I have melasma, which is that hyperpigmentation.
Mm.
Even though it was reasonably under control, it was flaring up a little bit sometimes. I noticed that I wake up in the morning, I look in the mirror, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my skin is clearer than it's been, and I don't know how long. My hair started behaving better because a few
Fascinating.
months ago, about a year ago, I was having some dryness
Mm.
in my hair when I would do my hair. And now that I don't have that, I had to put moisturizers, in my hair in order to do my hair. I don't need that anymore. Sometimes I put a little bit in there just so, but I don't really need it because my hair is being wonderful to me these days. So there's just been a litany of improvements that have happened over this year that are remarkable. The greatest of which perhaps is my recent blood work.
Oh, tell me about that.
Hi, my recent blood work. I had the interview with my doctor. It was a year later. Again, with the new doctor, I had this extensive battery of blood work tests last year. And so I had them repeated. I guess it's been 3 weeks ago now, right? And so my doctor looks at the number that represents the amount of inflammation in the body, right? I'm not a doctor, so I shouldn't quote medical facts. So I'm just put it in layman's terms, right? SAID rate or something like that. In any case, she looked at the number. The number last year was 35. The number this year was 19. So the inflammation rate was cut in half. And she said to me, sort of off the cuff, you must not be in any pain. And it was sort of funny coming from a doctor, right? And I said, actually, I've noticed that there are many days now where I actually don't feel any pain.
Wow.
That is sort of miraculous.
Wow.
Yeah. I even during the holidays when I was exhausted from overdoing it a bit and I had to rest, take a long period of rest, about a week of rest, I noticed that my pain wasn't there. I was exhausted emotionally.
Gosh.
I wasn't in physical pain. And I kept saying to my husband, but I'm not in pain. Every day I would be like, but I'm not in pain. So the results from that test just lifted me up even higher because I had never been in a position to measure something that would indicate that my inflammatory, markers were now going down as an indication of how much better I was now doing
Oh,
with my algae pain. So
so great.
yeah, and the disability. Last year this time I couldn't really raise my arms to do my hair. I had to stop. I couldn't make the jewelry. I couldn't see clients for about 5 or 6 months. It was that bad. It had been that bad. So I'm talking about a really remarkable outcome here. And then again, recently, my creative index
Mhm.
went up. It had to. I didn't realize this until I listened to one of your testimonials the other day from one of your clients. And I realized that I had this mental clarity that is kind of my bedrock. It's the thing I rely on in my daily life. I usually refer to it as spiritual clarity,
Mhm.
because I'm of that ilk. But I've had this clarity every day about my assignments of the day, my mission for right now, what I'm doing. I've been crafting, making the jewelry the silverware, you know about our jewelry line. I made 30 necklaces in 2.5 weeks because I could
Wow.
sit and craft with no pain. My
Yeah.
hands, arms didn't flare up.
Well, plus you had the mental clarity to have the ideas for all these unique custom designs, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's a great point, Kimberly, because back in, I guess, late summer, early fall, I had had this inspiration to make the new wood collection that we're making, but I didn't follow up on it. Right. And so, again, when everything started getting so clear about what I was going to be working on for a while, that whole inspiration came back full circle. And now I'm doing it. I was doing it. And the designs were just coming in almost faster than my hands could move.
Oh, wonderful.
So I was just having this joyous experience.
Well,
And again, it's a joyful experience to do it, but this was just another level of joy because, first of all, it was all inspiration. So I didn't have to think about it. And I wasn't suffering, I wasn't
mm,
experiencing pain, even at the end of the day when I would sit and craft for 6 to 8 hours a day, of course, with breaks. But
mm.
so I know that's a lot.
Well, it's more than I ever imagined would happen when I first told you about this program and what these light therapy patches offer people. And just for our viewers, we do have a product that's in the general wellness category. The FDA has reviewed these patches and put them in that category because they are low risk. However, we're not to say that these products heal, cure, or prevent any disease. And we do suggest that if you are in the care of a medical doctor, that you let him know or her know that you are embarking upon this general wellness journey. By general wellness, we mean it's less risky than a supplement or a over-the-counter medication. So it's very possible that your doctor would be like, sure, try it. And some doctors are now saying to people, oh yes, I have several patients that love those patches. So anyway, we thank Paula today for sharing this fabulous 1-year anniversary testimony. And I do want to ask one quick question though. Paula, what would you like to say to the skeptics out there that think this couldn't possibly work, this little tiny patch that you wear on your skin? Couldn't possibly do all those wonderful things for somebody. What's your quick answer to that?
It just might work.
I love that. Try it. You won't know unless you try
Right.
it,
That's,
right?
that's what my husband said to me. What if it works? Then you're like me. You're experiencing this new normal, this new walk through life, and a lot of improvements in your wellness. You know,
Yes.
my doctor said, I said, I think the patches had a lot to do with my improvements. And she said, I think they probably did. And I now list LifeWave patches on my wellness resources on my medical reports. When they say, what are you taking? What meds are you taking? What supplements? I list the LifeWave patches.
Well, thank you for doing that because we would love to educate the medical community about these patches as well, because it's just another tool for them to use when a patient leaves their office with a prescription. They could also leave their office with
Exactly.
instructions on how to get the patches that may mean after the prescription is used up, they could sustain their improvements with these patches. So
Yeah,
it's just another handy way of helping your clients and patients with their health objectives. And
absolutely.
and
That's
anyway,
what it did for me. And as you know, I'm a wellness practitioner. And I've
yes.
been tuned to my wellness journey for over 30 years. And I work with others as a practitioner. So, I have a pretty keen insight as to what works in my system. And I think what can work for others if they would
Right.
just, right?
Yes, just try it. Just give it a try. And thank you very much for your time today. It was so great to get this phone call the other day that precipitated this interview. When you called me all excited about your blood work, I thought this has to be shared. So
Well,
thank you
thank you,
very
Kimberly.
much.
I'm delighted to share it. And I just want to also say to your listeners, Kimberly knows what she's doing with this product. So heed her advice, and maybe one day we'll meet and talk about
Yes.
it and celebrate together, right?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for leading the charge into this emerging technology. You know, you're an early adapter, Paula, and I always pride myself in being an early adapter. It's fun. It's a lot of
Yeah, it is fun. And I had no side effects that I can determine whatsoever in a
thank you.
year's time. And
That's
I was,
good for people
yeah,
to know. Yes,
yeah,
thank you.
I'm very energy sensitive. I can feel what goes on in my body. And there wasn't anything that I could say that equated to a side effect. And that is amazing, right? Just good effects all the way through. So thank you for leading me on this path. And I hope that others will join us on this
Yes,
wellness journey that we're taking together, right?
yes. This video will help. Will definitely help a lot of people get on the program. So
Okay. Bye-bye.